What's up, Rad fam? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Rad DAO podcast. I am, of course, your host, Kyle, also known as Rad Dad, and I am pumped. Pumped, because I've got the guys from Coinscan on today. Coinscan is a decentralized trading platform that is making waves across the crypto world, and it's going to be one to watch in the future. This is not a sponsored episode, but full disclosure for the audience, I am invested in this project because I believe in the team and I believe in the platform. So with that, I'd like to welcome Gons and Evan to the stage from the Coinscan team. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for having us.
thank you.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Why don't we start with you, Evan, because you're top of my screen here.
Sure.
Introduce yourself and kind of how did you get involved in the project?
Right on. Yeah, so I'm Evan, COO of Coinscan. I initially set out to release some of the core features, such as like the penny transactions, developer wallet tracker. That was just over a year ago now. The rest of the Coinscan team found me along in that process, and we joined forces. So here we are today.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how about you, Gons?
Yeah, so hey everybody, I'm Gons. I'm the product and community manager for Coinscan. Brief little background on me. I've been in the crypto space since 2014. Crazy, wild journey that was. And, long story short, I kind of entered crypto at that time, and then I was a victim of the BitGrail hack, and so I had lost almost all my money. I had a few, $100 of Doge just in Binance, and eventually, April 2021 comes around. I hear about SafeMoon going crazy, and so I'm like, hey, let's get back in on on crypto and see what's going on there. And come to find out, I had about $2,500 in Doge on Binance. So I used that to continue, and I started a DeFi trading group, a very private group, and that is where I met Rapid, who is our CTO for Coinscan. Brilliant guy. We were absolutely killing it in the DeFi world, trading Ethereum low market cap tokens. And from there, we also set out to build tools to help us trade. At that point, Rapid introduced me to Eliran, who's the CEO of Coinscan. And at that point, we kind of saw that the potential for what we had, the team we had, and the tools we wanted to build could be so much bigger than just for our own personal use. And so that's kind of how that aspect of the team came together. And then we happened to, come into contact with Evan, and just through shared experiences in the DeFi world, and we had a similar common interest and common goal, and we decided to join forces.
Wow, what a story. And I'm a relative latecomer compared to you in terms of crypto. I only got in Feb of last year, but I think one of the most interesting things that I've sort of discovered over the last 8 or 9 months is that you can pull teams together of complete random internet strangers that live everywhere in the world and build
Totally.
an amazing project. And so it's been eye-opening for me because I've done interviews now in the Middle East. We've got one next week for the UK. We've got Thailand. You guys are in North America, but the rest of your team's up in Israel. So it's such an international community. So that's really awesome.
Right. Yeah. Around 95% of the Coinskin team is in Israel. They actually all go to an office together. Gons and I are the only ones in the States, but it's just, it's weird because, all of us play such an important role in the company and platform, right? But, at least Gons and I have never met anyone else within the company. But, we're going on over a year of working together.
But it works, right? Because you guys all have a common interest and a common passion, I think, is what really drives the whole thing. But, you mentioned the fact that they have an office in Israel. And I think one of the things that drew me to this project in the first place was just the transparency of the team as well as the professionalism of the team. This isn't, a bunch of teenagers in their basement trying to build something, right? This is an organization that is trying to make, put their stamp on the crypto market. So, the team's completely doxed in their white paper. Why do you think that was important from the team perspective in building that trust with the community?
I don't think that it was important in the grand scheme of things, right? We do what we say we'll do. We're here to make a difference, and that's what we're going to do. whether people want to dig in, see who we are, see that proof of transparency, that's totally up to them. But to us, it really doesn't matter, right? Like, we have set out to do what we want to do, and that's what we're here to do. It definitely is like a good layer of trust building with the community, right? It's not all that common in crypto to have a docs team. Sure, it's not too uncommon, but it's definitely a good standard to set just for how we do present ourselves, where we want to go, and things like that.
Well, and part of the thing that you're trying to do is to prevent people from getting scammed, right? I mean, the project's called Coinscan, right? So I think as much as we trust developers and their code, people get wrecked a lot of times by doing that because they don't know. So I'm of the belief that transparency and trust, even in the people, is going to be even more important for the next leg. I think if you're coming in to crypto for the first time, it's kind of sketchy. Like, who knows where you land, which Telegram group you happen to stumble across,
right.
as you first enter our world, right? So finding people that are just open, that are promoting good conversation, they do what they're saying they're going to do, is going to be vitally important as we enter the next leg of crypto. At least that's my opinion.
I think so. And to add to what Evan said too, as far as a docs team goes, it is kind of uncommon, but I think that so many people have suffered and been wrecked at the hands of scammers. It's our vision at Coinscan that, the next leg up, or the next bull run, the next cycle, is going to be totally different from this one. I think we're going to see a lot more people kind of having learned their lesson from this one, and they're going to seek, those docs teams, those projects that are very transparent, open, and honest with their community. So it's kind of a bonus, but it's at the same time, it's also not necessarily, a requirement for successful projects to be doxed, but it's just something that kind of aligned with our beliefs at the team.
No, that's great to hear. And we're talking about the next leg up. Obviously, it feels like it's a ways away. I don't think we're going into the old, January pump, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had all this chaos with the collapse of FTX, and then sort of the waves that caused throughout the crypto markets. I mean, it's not necessarily isolated to crypto, but there is definitely sort of a sentiment shift. At least I've felt it over the last, let's call it 60 days or so. So I'm curious about your perspective. I mean, there's a lot of noise about keeping coins on centralized exchanges. How liquid are they truly? So I see this shift to decentralized exchanges and DEX trading and all of that. So I just want to get your perspective on sort of what do you think your platform brings to the table that will help people, navigate away from a centralized exchange?
Sure. Well, first off, we don't offer any tools for centralized exchanges, right? Like, we are a platform that purely serves DeFi, at least at the moment, and in the relatively near future, that's where we're going, is serving that DeFi. So, if you're a CeFi trader, we're simply not going to offer tools that help you, at least yet, right? So, and the whole like move to custodying and the decentralized trading, like, those are things that, like, people that have been familiar with DeFi have always pushed for, right? Like, this isn't new news. This has always been the best practice. We're just really starting to see some major examples of why it's the best practice.
Totally. And I think it's important. So when I got into crypto, I think Cardano was the first coin that I ever bought. But there I actually bought SafeMoon, you call that.
Yeah.
But I remember when SafeMoon, because I actually got in surprisingly early from a Reddit post. It was pure fucking luck. But trying to get people to understand how to get money from their bank account to PancakeSwap was a process. Like, people were doing, video calls, trying to talk them through the steps, and it was nuts. So I think any tool that gets built to simplify the process of, taking fiat, converting it into crypto, and then being able to trade it in a safe, decentralized way is going to be advantageous for the next run. I don't know if you guys have experienced something similar, but it was definitely a process.
It was crazy back then. I mean, every Telegram group for small market cap tokens back then, it was just constant posts about, hey, this is how you on ramp funds from Binance to PancakeSwap to your MetaMask. This is how you add the token. Remember, that one was super popular, like how to add the token to your MetaMask or your
Yeah.
Trust wallet. You saw that all day long. So It's crazy. Yeah, those were some crazy times. But I do agree with what you said, Rad Dad, that in the future the the next cycle is gonna be built on, mass adoption. It's the only leg up that will support it. And so we're we're gonna have to have teams that are building tools to make things simpler for people, so that your grandma could buy, Coinscan in the future. Like as an
Right.
example, right? It needs to be that simple. And so, whether there are just tools built that completely bypass centralized exchanges and just go straight, and there's several now. There, a couple steps, two steps, but that is definitely something that we have in mind to build in the future, because it's key for the next cycle.
Right. I mean, so much of really the difficulties in crypto currently are just, usability and user interface for people that aren't, trained, and it's hard to get started, right? Because it's just very daunting. There's not much comprehensive information out there on like really how to get started, best practices. It's a very steep learning curve, right? So I really think that next leg of mass adoption is only going to come with those enhanced user experiences, which is all part of what we're trying to build, right? Like, not only do we offer like some of the most advanced charting tools that have ever been created in DeFi, we're doing it in a way that users are already familiar with and really should have a very easy time understanding.
No, it's a great point. And I was personally surprised at the amount of content that was required after the collapse of FTX on how to use MetaMask. Like when I got into crypto, it was not your keys, not your coin, and that was one of the first
Mhm.
things that I learned, how to use MetaMask. And but I guess that wasn't part of people's onboarding. So, we need better content, and we need better and easier platforms to do that. But you made a bold claim there about most advanced charting tools. So actually, I want to bring up Coinscan here, and you can talk me through some of the features that really set you guys apart, because you've built something different. Like there's features that I've seen on your platform that literally I've never seen before. So here's the an example, and this is not a plug for OpenAI. It just happens to be a coin with good volume right now that can kind of show some of the features. But why don't you tell me about the key things that you think differentiate Coinscan versus other platforms that are out there?
Sure. So real quickly, if you want to just click on that developer TXS tab right there on the left.
Develop right here, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So that is um, fully transparent developer transactions. As far as I'm aware, we are the first platform to just incorporate that right there. Um, so you can see all those like multi calls. So chances are that developer is actually trading on the same wallet that he deployed the token with. There could be some other instances there, but you can click on those transactions, really dig into detail if you would like. Yeah,
So
so that
yeah, it
just
brings up the Etherscan.
yeah. Oh, so he's actually buying OpenAI, right?
Might be doing buybacks or something. Yeah,
That's what it
Right.
looks like. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and then like if you click on that airdrops tab, okay, so you'll see this token did not perform any airdrops, but that is another tool that we offer is we present all of the airdrops that a token deployer has sent out, very transparently right there.
So what would that mean in terms of a noob coming to check if they see a bunch of airdrops? What are the kind of things that they should be thinking about might have happened there?
Sure. Well, it's a very case by case basis, right? Like airdrops aren't uncommon. We've done airdrops because we're a V2 token. We also have done giveaways. So, we have airdrops, right? And airdrops aren't necessarily a bad thing. However, when you're trading a very new token that you don't really know much about, they can be a red flag. There's instances where a developer will airdrop himself supply to a different wallets, and then use that to drain the liquidity, even if all of the other safety within the token checks out.
I think there's
Um,
been examples of airdrops that happen before the contract is live, if I'm not mistaken, right?
right, right.
So
Those
people
are
can't be buying and selling, but there's already tokens distributed to people that can dump on those that are buying at launch, basically.
Yeah,
that's
but I mean, even in that, there's instances like, as I said, we're a V2 token, right? And we airdropped all of our V1 holders prior to opening trading, right? So it's just such a case by case basis, especially with the airdrops. You really have to look into like what's going on within the token, like what are they saying on their socials, what are they saying in the Telegram, to really get an understanding for what.
I think it's like any charting tool. You have to look at it in in conglomeration with all the other stuff and sort of make your determination as to whether or not you think it's legit or not, right?
Right, right.
Now you mentioned.
Ultimately,
Sorry, go ahead,
like
Gons.
just to add to that, ultimately, we're providing you the data in a simplified format. So you'll see like if the developer airdropped, 5%, to three different wallets, that's something you might want to look into. But if he's doing just a bunch of like small, airdrops like 0.1%, and to like 100 people, you could probably assume that that's more of like a pre-sale scenario that the
Right.
token used to raise liquidity. And so ultimately what it boils down to is, we're providing the data. It gives you an insight into what's happening, but ultimately it falls on you as the investor to kind of take that extra step and do your research to make sure that, hey, this is, a normal airdrop or a pre-sale, or hey, there's a lot of supply going out. Let me just double check these wallets and make sure there's not a connection, or anything like that.
Yeah, great tool. And I think the important thing you said there is just people being able to do their own research, because everyone says DYOR, right? It's just something
Hmm.
we say these days, but like,
Hmm.
how do you actually do that? Or how did you actually do that? There might be a bunch of different sites that give you bits and pieces of this information, but from what I know, this is the first that sort of pulled them all together into one spot. So,
Right, and that's really the ultimate goal, right? Like all of these products have been developed as a result of Gon's and I's and Rapid's experience in DeFi. We've really just asked ourselves if we could create the ultimate platform that would help us trade with all the tools that we could possibly dream of. What would that look like, right? And so that's what has brought Coinscan to where it is today.
that's fantastic. Now, Evan, when you were chatting there, you mentioned the word socials, and I think that this is probably one of the coolest tools, of the thing. Now, I'm going to pull up your coin instead of OpenAI because I know you've got an active Telegram group. So I'm going to just pull this up, and then we've got the social tab here. Talk me through this. What's going on here?
Right. So we are actually pulling the Telegram feed in real time. It's funny, sometimes the Telegram feed on our website is actually faster than the client side Telegram. But like another cool part of that is, say you're in China, somewhere where Telegram is banned, you can actually use the Coinscan website to watch the tokens Telegram, right? And
Wow, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I personally get tired of having like being in 100 Telegram groups, always spamming, and so really it lets you see what's going on without actually going through the process of verifying to get in that Telegram group. Being in that Telegram group, getting those notifications, it just lets you see transparently what's happening.
Well, and I think we're going to chat about community in a few minutes here, but I think community engagement and sort of energy is a big part of, coin launches, and also just, maintaining coin, support over the time. Like, you could have literally the best project in the world, but if there's no community behind it, they generally don't last, right? They'll
For
move on to
sure.
something else. And I think you've got that, and we'll dive in a minute, but I think this is such an interesting feature, and that call out about being able to use it in countries that don't have access to Telegram is wild. That's a pretty cool feature, man.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, now I'm going to go back to OpenAI because there's something pretty magical that you guys have built here that hopefully we can show an example of on screen here. And we'll just scroll down here a bit and wait. But Gons, why don't you? There it is. Look at that. Okay,
Yeah.
what are we looking at
So
here?
that is a live transaction from a user buying OpenAI. So one of the main things that, we wanted to develop was kind of the ultimate advantage, right? And what that ended up being is just scanning transactions in the mempool, which is kind of the gray area where transactions go to be mined, and then once they're mined, they're confirmed on the blockchain. So we are pulling data from the mempool to show you in real time what users are doing before you can see it anywhere else. So a great analogy for this would be something we discussed the other day, would be like if Evan is driving to Rad Dad's house, most charting platforms, I'll actually be bold enough to say all charting platforms currently will only tell you when Evan arrives to Rad Dad's house. So if that takes 18 minutes, you'll know after 18 minutes that, hey, Evan is at Rad Dad's house. Whereas Coinscan will tell you Evan's exact position on the way to Rad Dad's house until he gets there, and then confirm that he has actually arrived. So it's that middle area that is so valuable because, I mean, you can see in real time what is happening behind the scenes that you would never otherwise possibly be able to know.
That's crazy. And just for our audio listeners, we're looking at the live transaction data, and obviously buys are green, sells are red, but Coinscan offers, and you'll see it in yellow, which is those pending transactions. So if I'm a trader, what do I do with this information? Like, how does this give me an advantage?
So this is where the potential is really crazy, right? You can front run, potentially large buys or sells. You can catch the bottom. Obviously tokens tend to go up and down, and they have, different movements. So if there are a ton of sells for whatever reason, and then, you start seeing a lot of buys coming in, hey, this might be the local bottom. And you can use, actually, because we show the gas values or the GUI values, for the transactions, you can actually use higher gas than all the pending transactions you see on your screen. And then you can place your transaction ahead of everybody else's. You'll be the first person to buy the dip. Or vice versa, if the token has been pumping for hours and you see that volume is starting to slow down, there's not as many buys coming in, and then you start seeing 3 or 4 sells, hey, this might be the top, I'm going to be one of the first people to sell at the top. So for short-term traders, the potential here is insane. And the pending transactions, the same technology applies to the developer transactions we talked about earlier that Evan mentioned. So you can see in real time, hey, the developer is pulling the liquidity and he's using 25, GUI. You can go ahead and execute a sell transaction with 30 instead of 25, and you should be able to front run him potentially and escape with your funds before he actually drains the liquidity. And the potential is limitless here for DeFi traders.
I think this changes the game. I really do. I mean, even if you're not a big trader, if you see that 5 ETH buy on some low liquidity coin coming, it's going to pump the chart, then you can throw your little bid in with a bit of higher gas and get in before it.
Exactly.
100%.
That's crazy. Do you, and you don't have to answer this, but do you ever foresee a time where you could get notifications on certain size buys or that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we do have notifications planned. As a matter of fact, right now, like if the developer was to perform an airdrop, you would actually see a little tiny one by the airdrops tab right there. But that's just notifications in our current state. We do intend to have alert notifications for different variables that you can set. Those specific variables are not 100% hammered out, so not going to make any promises as to what you will get notifications for, but that's definitely part of the plans.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I'm usually a desktop trader. Is all this functionality available on mobile as well?
Yep.
And I would like to add that it's probably, I may be biased here, but it's probably one of the best mobile experiences compared to, any other charting platform for DeFi. Most of them are really clunky, or they're just not optimized for mobile. But, especially Eliran, he puts so much focus into making sure that mobile traders would get a lot out of Coinscan, because there's a lot of people that do trade on mobile, and it's a growing, it's a growing percentage of traders.
No,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I think like even I'm coming from the retail world, and our websites are now mobile first. So they're designed for phones and then ported over to the desktop view because that's how people are interacting with the website. So I think that's a good call.
Right. It's interesting, like even looking at like analytics for PooCoin, for example, more than 50% of their traffic is on mobile phones.
Yeah, I know you'll hear, don't trade on your phone, it's not secure, but I think a lot of that stuff is changing. I think people have to realize that the easiest way to onboard somebody into crypto is to give them access on their phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to run back to my computer to check something if, I want to be able to be walking around Walmart, grocery shopping and get a ping on my phone if something's happening and be able to execute it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. Are there any other features that you want to call out?
Yeah, if you want to go scroll to the top real quick,
Sure.
you'll see we've got that scan safety checks bar. So this is just another example of us really condensing what all of these different platforms do into one. So you can see right there the honeypot status of a token. For those that don't know, a honeypot is the DeFi term for when you can buy a token but you can't sell it. It's a common scam tactic. So we give you a live indicator of whether the token is a honeypot or not. We tell you the token taxes, which it's quite common for tokens to have trade taxes. So if you buy $100, this has a 3% tax, you'll get $97 worth of the token. So we are actually, aside from KuCoin, the only platform to really show you that, as far as I know. And then lastly, we have the renounced indicator, and so that'll tell you if a token is renounced or not. And renounced tokens, essentially, the owner of the token is the dead address. So it's basically, stuck in the blockchain forever and can't be changed.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I've actually had a couple guests on talking DeFi about, whether or not that's required. And I think that comes down to the trust factor, because once you lock that contract, if there's something wrong with it, you're fucked and you have to start over, or, try your best to create a side contract to work around it. So, no, not necessarily a red flag, but, something to factor in when you're doing your due diligence on a project.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is cool. I know at least, well, keeps going, just keeps going. I know at least 3 websites that you would normally have to scroll through to pull all of this information, and meanwhile you've aggregated it all onto one screen and then added even more on top of it. So it really is a powerful platform.
Definitely.
Right. We still have a long ways to go, right? We've been working on this just over a year. We're very proud of how far we've come in this time frame, with how thin of a team we have. We're all very passionate about what we're building. We all love what we're doing, but we want to take this to a Web 2 level of just professionalism and wide scale, and really just make it the platform. So we definitely have a long ways to go still, but it's cool. Very cool.
Well, there's the old saying that bears are for building, right? And it seems like the platforms and tokens that are going to come out the other side of this market are the ones that keep the community engaged, that keep delivering on their roadmap items, and show that they're actually taking steps to be there if when the liquidity eventually returns. So I don't know how much you can discuss about this, but I'm pretty sure that your team has a solid background in things like search engine optimization, marketing, and that sort of thing. So all important things, but can you touch on that at all?
Sure. So yeah, our team is fully doxed, right? Eliran Uzan, our CEO, he has actually bootstrapped this project from the ground up. And he has over 25 years of experience in Web 2 wide-scale marketing. ExpressVPN is probably one of his marketing company's biggest clients. And they are the biggest referral marketing company in plenty of verticals, right? So there are still some they're trying to tackle, of course, but, really that's where him, Shlomi, and a lot of the team's expertise come from, is, that Web 2 large scale marketing, PPC, SEO. And that's really an area where crypto lacks the most. If you look into our white paper, we really kind of dig into the functionalities of our strategies, and how our competitors lack in certain areas that we are going to improve on. Talk all day about those intricacies, but long story short, we are bringing Web 2 professionality, Web 2 scale, and Web 2 marketing into crypto, where it's extremely uncommon.
Very, very cool to hear. I think it goes back to that, where Gon started off with the idea of simplicity and making things easy. I don't want to have to go digging to find the chart that I want, or I don't want to have to, scroll through 3 pages of Google search results to find the, honeypot token sniffing app that I use, right? I want it all there, and just when I search a coin, that's what comes up. Fantastic. Now, you talked about roadmap a little bit, but is there anything that investors and users could look forward to? And then also, sort of as a side question, Why would I hold the token? Like, what benefits are there to holding Scan itself?
Sure. Well, once we enable premium features, things like the pending transactions, airdrops feed, holders feed will be locked behind, hold buying $1,000 in Scan. Our technology actually can remember what price you bought at. So say you buy $1,000 in Scan, a month later it's $700, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you make that purchase, we recognize how much you bought. And so you will be a premium member, right? And so that grants you access to those pending transactions, grants you access to the holder analytics, airdrop analytics, really the token safety products that we offer, such as like the developer transactions, the safety checks. Those are going to remain free, as that's really our main goal, is just make the crypto space safer, right? More user friendly, kind of just increase the general public sentiment, for people to know that they have those tools available to really analyze those tokens. So those will be free to everyone. And yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more things that we offer in the future as benefits to being a premium member, but that is the ideology behind that.
To add to that, it kind of goes back to what you said, like, when we showed you the pending transactions and kind of some of the other tools that are going to be premium tools, you can already tell just by looking at it, like, this is a next level advantage. So kind of our goal with Coinscan was to not only build the most outrageous powerful tools that any semi-serious trader would definitely want in their arsenal, but as Evan mentioned, we also want to make the free version of Coinscan better than anything on the market. So it's no question of whether you want to use Coinscan or not. It's just whether, how serious do you want to get involved with DeFi. And if it's even a remote yes, then you also know that you will probably want to look into the premium tools because they're game changing.
No, I think that's a great strategy. Safety will always sort of be available for everybody, but if you want to dig deep into actually gaining that trading advantage, then you got to be a premium member, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's totally it makes sense in terms of a business model, but also it's worth it, right? A lot of people could, theoretically make back their premium subscription cost in a single trade if they use the tools correctly, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Wow, very cool, very cool. And then sort of in terms of roadmap, what's the next steps for the team right now?
Sure. So I'd say next major step is going to be adding more EVMs, right? Like right now, we currently only operate on Ethereum. We've had some very cool developments internally that I can't really talk about quite yet. But things are looking promising as far as the expedition of such. And just keep your eyes peeled, right?
Fine then, keep your secrets.
Yeah.
No, that's good. The community will like the tease. That's totally fine. I want to shift Gons more to your realm here in terms of community though, and talk a bit about the people that are propping this thing up right now, because it's your holder count isn't crazy by any means, but they seem like you have a very loyal bunch. So I'm curious on your take on community management. It's kind of something I'm involved with as well.
It's insane. I mean, I want to honestly brag about our community because it's next level. Where on earth will you find a token that has performed as well as Coinscan and also held up through, the craziness that the market has thrown at us? And honestly, we can say it's the tech, we can say it's the platform, but I really think it boils down to just the community members we have. I mean, we have some members that go above and beyond just to provide value and helpfulness to everybody that joins our Telegram. It's insane. It's amazing. We have some of the best people, just doing their part for the Coinscan community and the Coinscan, scan fam. So it's really awesome. It's very rare to find a community like the one we have, and also like so accepting. You join and you're just bombarded by Maddie greeting you, saying, "Hey, welcome. How'd you find us?"
Yeah.
So
you say it's the community we have, but I think it's more that the community that you've built, right? And truthfully, the thing that I like about it is that we can talk about whatever coin we want as long as we're not, shilling scams, right? But we can have conversations about the economy. We can have conversations about various tokens and what's going on. And nobody's getting banned for that. It's not a let's only talk about Scan and see what happens. This is about talking about markets and how to use Scan. When we talk about utility, how do we use the platform? And that's what your team does. So, shout out to Ernest for his wonderful TA.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you have so many
Yeah.
cool community members. So
And so I'm so glad you touched on that. That's one of the beauties, right? Because most coins, they kind of treat their community more as like a cult. Like
right.
we're dead set on this token. This is all we talk about, and somehow we have to talk about this for the life of the token.
Right, right.
And it's unrealistic, and it gets rather tiresome. So one of the unique advantages we have at Coinscan is we're not necessarily a token. We're a platform built by traders for traders, and we're here to help traders exceed and excel. And so we have people like Ernst, we have people like Maddie, and several others who are just there to help you. And whether that's, hey, check out this new token, it looks pretty safe, I checked everything on Coinscan, and they help you in that way, or they just help you in, hey, I found this token, where do I go to check this kind of stuff? Oh, you go to this section of, you go to holders or airdrops. I mean, it's incredible the opportunity we have to kind of build this community, not around a token, but around a platform and each other.
Yeah, and I think I've obviously I think we've all been in those shitcoin communities that where that is it's everyone's throwing gifts and memes and to the
Hmm.
moon and emojis and like the hype only lasts for like a couple weeks and then you start to see some a whale sold and then all of a sudden sentiment shifts in the telegram and realistically that can actually tank a project no matter how good everything underpinning it is. So I think you've come at it the right way in my opinion. It's very much sort of how I manage the communities that I'm dealing with as well. Like let's chat, let's figure out who everybody is, let's add value, support each other and lift each other up. And that's something I really appreciate about your community specifically, which I will obviously throw the links in the show notes below. And we'll try and get some more rad people joining that community because it's
Nice,
small but
nice.
mighty. It could
Yeah,
grow.
nice. Yeah, it's also, I just want to note, like, we have quite a few people that have been with us, like, since the start, right? Like, we've been working for over a year. Um, we definitely do have some extremely loyal people in our community that have been with us through the ups and downs, right? And still share that long-term vision that we do. And that's just super cool to see.
I think it's more sustainable, right? People they're not here for a quick pump. They're here to support a team and a project and a platform that will be around for years to come. So I think that's really the key distinction is no one's we'd all love a 10x overnight, but that's not the point, right? The point is
Hmm.
that this will grow organically with time and users as the market grows, right?
Right.
Oh, very cool. So, Gons, tip of the hat to you, sir. Great job
Thank
in,
you.
in fostering that environment. I'm curious about you guys too. I mean, let's start with Evan because it's easy. You've got guitars on the wall. Who are you?
Sure.
What do you
Sure.
like to do, my man?
Yeah. Well, if you can't tell, I play quite a bit of guitar. I was in a band over the summer, played some shows around
Cool.
town. Um, Pretty into motorcycles, things like that. Been skating all my life, pretty much. So, definitely like to stay active when I'm not sitting at my PC, as hard as that gets, right? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just like to keep myself entertained. Not so much into video games. I do play them, but I just find myself getting frustrated nowadays.
Are you full time
And
crypto?
yeah,
Good for you, man. I,
yeah,
I'm assuming you're younger than me based solely on how you look, but I talked to my guest last week, Abdullah Tech, mid 20s, guys crushing life basically. But I'm asking all the young guys because I'm curious, like, you look at what a career should have been. You should have been grinding at some corporation for the next 25, 30 years. So, how are you looking at even the next 10 years of your life and trying to plan that out?
sure. Well, I'm not really. I'm planning for the unexpected, right? Like, I don't know where things are going to go in 10 years. I don't know where things are going to go in 3 years, and I'm okay with that. I'm, here for the ride. Like, I love what I do. I love who I work with. Um, and I feel very positive about where things are going, and I'm just in for the ride for wherever that takes me.
It's good. Enjoy it, man. That time of your life doesn't last forever, so
Yeah.
take advantage. Gons, you're more my age, I think. So, well, how about you? Who are you?
I'm 27.
God, I'm
And
fucking old. Oh.
so I mean, I started out in the car world, right? In the
Cars.
automotive industry.
Okay.
I dedicated a good part of like 7, 8 years of my life to kind of building and running a shop, and just kind of learning about business from the ground up. I mean, we started that company and we were doing, $3,000 in revenue a month, and by the time I exited, I'm crypto full time now.
Congrats.
Officially a year now. Um,
Amazing.
but at the time that I left, we were averaging 120, 150 a month, thousand. And so it was kind of a lot of that has helped me, as far as business development and sales, and how to present yourself properly to customers, clients. And so outside of that, as far as work goes, I am crypto full time. It was really hard to manage that trading group that I had with Rapid and also work. I mean, I was, talking to customers on one phone, and on the computer I was on Pancake Swap or Uniswap. Like, it was difficult, and so eventually I had to quit. Um, as far as hobbies and stuff, I am a car enthusiast by blood. I've been into cars since I could afford to buy one, and I build cars, race cars, modify them, and that's almost the extent of my life.
Oh, that's wicked. What are you working on now?
Well, I have four. I have four cars. I have
Four.
an Audi TT track project. That's the first car I ever bought. That thing is insane. It's fully gutted, built motor, big turbo. Suspension's been completely overhauled with racing suspension and stuff like that, upgrades. I've got a BMW 645 that I've supercharged. It's a daily driver. I've got a Golf R that I might sell to Evan, and a few other toys. I also tinker with boats and jet skis. Those are fun. So I'm more of like a tinker kind of guy.
That's really cool, man. I drive a Kia minivan. It is not
Okay.
supercharged, and it's extra heavy because it's full of kids most of the time. So,
Listen, we'll put a turbo and you'll get to daycare faster than anybody.
I saw the guy that did the 1,000 horsepower Honda
Minivan?
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna help me. That's cool. But so okay, here's my point, and this is a recurring theme and what I'm trying to hammer into all of the crypto community because a lot of you guys are young, so I'm mid 30s, so you're both younger than me. B, Gons, you've had a great career, but Evan, I don't know what your pre-crypto journey looked like, but a lot of guys I'm finding in crypto don't actually get into the sort of the quote unquote, workforce. And so there isn't that development, that, business building, that sort of thing. They just sort of find it here. So it's like there's two aspects of this. I'm trying to bring what I know from my career and apply it to crypto, but I've also got this crop of young guys throwing ideas at me because they're living a completely different life than me, that they don't have to think about the restraints that I have, having a mortgage and kids and that sort of thing. And so they can be a little more risky and be a little more kind of inventive in terms of what they're building. So I think it takes both, right? It takes people that, Gons, you've done the grind, you've taken it from 300 to 120K a month, which is fucking crazy. And Evan, you've got, the ideals. You're just hustling, you're going for it. So it's cool to have different perspectives is really what it boils down to. But I think it's very important to have outside interest. I think a lot of people get locked into the crypto, sphere.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that, with sort of how crypto Twitter's died off, even Telegram and Discord groups. A lot of them that were super active have either disappeared entirely or they're completely dead. And it's important to recognize that the chats on my screen are not my life, but they are a part of my life. And it's okay to turn that computer off and go work on your cars or go play your guitar, or in my case, go paint your Warhammer or read a book or do some drawing or whatever. Yeah. I'm a fucking nerd. Whatever. Anyway.
You're right. I mean,
it's all about touching grass.
Totally. You got to stay grounded to the earth, my man. Stay grounded.
it's all about balance. I mean,
Right.
that's always been something I've, kind of kept as an adage to myself is, you want to find a healthy balance in life. So, And you're right. Most teams like could benefit not only from somebody with real world business experience, but somebody who also hasn't been tainted by that. Somebody who's fresh and has ideas and is willing to take those risks that otherwise, a normal person might not consider. And so it's a healthy balance of both.
For sure. And I definitely feel like, Coinscan, is my introduction to professional career. Like prior to crypto, I've worked so many different jobs. I was, retail sales for a while, worked at the airport, like so many different things. I was in school for around 2 years, studying business, but, really working with Gons and working with the rest of the Coinscan team, is really teaching me a lot of those, professional business building skills that I didn't have, right? Like I'm good with ideas and I can like conceptualize products, but, I'm not the best at executing it, right? And that's where, worlds collide and we just make a great fit.
I think that's just important. Any team you build is just having a round team where you complement each other's strengths, right? But I would say that the setup you guys have at Coinscan isn't typical of what a crypto project or crypto
not at all.
company looks like, right? So you're fortunate in that you have a professional business that you're working in, whereas a lot of the projects you find, it's like, 18-year-olds that have somehow found each other on the internet and are, watched a YouTube video and are now CEOs, right? So it's about, that's why it never happens, right?
It's true. It's 100% true.
No, that's cool. And kudos to the team the part of the team that isn't here. I hope they hear this because I think it's a testament to the project that you're building and what you're trying to put out into the world.
For sure.
Amazing, guys. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Coinscan or otherwise, that we could talk about before we wrap today?
Just keep your eyes peeled.
I would say be a risk taker. It's one of those things like I've always been, whenever I have an opportunity to take a leap of faith, it's usually for the better. And so, I did it with my automotive career, right? I never, until I started working, for that shop, I had never really done anything professional with cars. And I'm just like, I really like cars. I'm probably good at it. And I'm just going to go for it. And so the same opportunity presented itself with Coinscan. I got to that point and I'm like, let me take this leap of faith and jump into the crypto world full time. So if anybody's listening, you're ever confronted with that, go for it.
That is sagely advice, wise beyond your years, sir. I couldn't agree more. And I think people get paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, and there's also the idea of the sunk cost fallacy, where they've invested so much here that it's too much for them to let go to try something completely different over here. And I mean, I'm going to take your advice with this podcast, for example. I have no idea where it's going, but I have a passion for this sort of thing, and I'm just going to keep grinding and see where we get to, right? But you have to start. Like, you have to just decide that you're going to do something and go for it. So I think, Gons, you gave me my soundbite, sir. I think that's the
beautiful.
That's the message of the episode today.
Nice. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, why don't we park it there for now? I'd love to have you guys back in a few months. You can give me the updates on the roadmap, and we can have another conversation about crypto, DeFi, or whatever you guys want to chat about. But I just want to thank you both for joining today.
Perfect. Thank you for having us.
Conversation. Yeah, no, of course.
It was really fun. It flew.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. I'll make sure to drop all the links to your website, to your Telegram, and your Twitter and all the other socials in the show notes below for all the listeners. So you'll be able to join this pretty rad community and check out the website and start using the tools for yourself. I mean, even if you don't buy Scan, please take advantage of these features while they're free, and join the community, because they're not just there to pump the token. They're there to build the project.
100%.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
Great.
Hope
Thank
you
you, Rad Dad.
Thanks for having us on.
Later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, friends, that's a wrap on episode 3 of the Rad DAO podcast. Want to thank Evan and Gons for their time today. Amazing, guys. Amazing project. Please check it out. Again, not a sponsored episode, but I do believe in the platform, so well worth a look. All of their links will be in the show notes below, so feel free to join their community and try out their platform. It'll be well worth your time. If you want to support the show, free way to do it would just be like and subscribe the video on YouTube and download the podcast. You could also leave us, preferably a 5-star review. And I say us, but it's literally just me, so don't know why I said that. The paid way you can do that is I've started a donation wallet. It's in the show notes below. Metamask wallet takes Matic, AVAX, BSC, and ETH. No obligation, but it does help keep the lights on if you want to throw me a few shekels. Greatly appreciated. The other way is I've got a couple referral links for some Canadian exchanges if you happen to be a Canuck. If you're thinking about trying out Newton or Shakepay, feel free to use my link below and we both get a little bit of a kickback. So all proceeds will go to help fund this podcast and keep the ball rolling. Until next time, friends, I would like to wish you a wonderful weekend. Please turn off your computer at some point and try something new. I don't know if it's fixing guitar or playing guitar or fixing cars, but just do something, okay? Go outside. Get out. Go. All right? That's it for now, guys. Peace. The Rad DAO podcast is produced for entertainment and education purposes only. I know this because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. If you're thinking of investing in any of the tokens talked about during this episode, then I implore you to please do your own due diligence and, if necessary, consult with a licensed financial advisor.